In today's episode of Connecting with Christ, we are going to talk about the renewal of our minds. Welcome back. Happy Monday, everyone. I am Yolanda Tonette Sanders, and thank you for joining me for week 5 of Connecting with Christ. We are rounding out our theme of renewal, and today's devotional, week 5, was written by Francis J. Tibbs. It's titled, God, Fixer of All Things Broken. So before we begin, sorry if the screen shakes a little bit. I am not working from my office today, and I'm not even working from the dining room table. I have been on my couch working. Let's see, I'm recording this on a Thursday, and 2 days ago we had my father's service. And I have been working downstairs. Well, I actually haven't been working at all since then. But today, as I attempted to catch up on emails and try to record this video and do some other things, I decided that I would park on my couch rather than try to work from my office. One, my office is upstairs, and anytime I need to come downstairs, I have to walk past an empty room, and I don't like that. And so when I am home alone, I tend to just stay in place so that I'm not constantly walking past my father's room and putting myself through emotions that I'm not ready to handle quite yet. So I'm trying to keep it still. The computer is on my lap desk, but I see it shaking. So if you see it shaking, sorry. But this is how we're rolling for today, and probably next week as well. We'll see. Let's just do one at a time. So anyhow, week 5, renewal, God, Fixer of All Things Broken by Francis J. Tibbs. So Francis, I have several nicknames for her, but the one nickname that I call her is Sunshine, and it's not S-U-N. I call her S-O-N-S-H-I-N-E. And I gave her that nickname because despite everything that she has gone through, I tell her that the love of the Lord shines through her. And so I have been calling her Sunshine for at least a decade, if not longer. And so Francis's devotional, she uses Romans 12:1-2. I'm going to read the scripture in both the NIV and then the NKJV. But Romans 12:1-2 NIV says, "Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be ye is not in this version. Be ye is in the King James. So be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." The New King James, so as I was getting ready to say, "Be ye transformed," that is King James. New King James actually says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. And do not be conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So, being renewed. So, renewal of our minds. As we live in a world that constantly tries to present situations, philosophies, ideologies, everything that contradicts the word of God, it takes intentional renewing of your mind, not to conform, basically. And in Francis's devotional, and Francis's devotional is, I'm intentionally saying Francis because I never call her Francis. So can I just say sunshine? You all know what I'm talking about, or not what, but who I'm talking about when I say sunshine. So I'm just going to say sunshine. So sorry, Francis. The world knows your nickname now, but it's a good nickname. So in Sunshine's devotional, she began to describe what she thinks about when she hears the word renewal. And initially she talked about spring after a harsh winter and everything that comes with the spring, the flowers. She's a gardener. She has not just one green thumb, but she has 10 green fingers. And so she talks about the gardening. And then she talks about renewal after a hard season in life. And she mentions the day her brain broke. That's what she called it. The day her brain broke. And so she has been very open about some mental health struggles, and in her struggles she has always found joy, and she has always searched for God, and that's why I started calling her Sunshine, because it was during one tough season where she was struggling, where she didn't feel that she was radiating his light. And I'm like, I see it all in you, even in the struggle. And so that's how the nickname Sunshine came about. And so when we think about renewal after a hard season in life, right now I am going through a hard season in life. I can smile because I'm just a person who smiles naturally. But I just had my dad's service, and okay, so can I just parenthetically say that it was so stressful getting to the service. So I'm a planner. I spent hours putting together all the details, and I just wanted everything to be so perfect for my daddy, right? So then his service was supposed to be on Monday, January 26th. Well, we had a snowstorm. The 1 in 50th time that the meteorologist got it right. So it snowed, and we were under a level 3 snow emergency in Columbus, Ohio, which means that you cannot drive and be out on the road without risking getting arrested or getting a ticket. And I live in Columbus, Ohio, but my daddy's service was in Sandusky, Ohio. That's where I knew he wanted his service. So we were planning to get everything to happen there. And, meanwhile, my son trying to get here from California. It was just, it was very stressful. We could not have the service on Monday. We actually had to postpone everything until Tuesday. And when I spoke to the pastor, we were laughing because he was like, your daddy cracking up right now. Like this, he was such a kidder and a jokester. So speaking of hard seasons, I was stressing and I kept having to go to the word, because it's just anytime you've lost someone, and at least for me, wanting to get to that part of the process where you have the service, and that's one less thing that you have to do. And for me, that's where the grieving really starts to take shape after you have the service. And so it's getting to that point and stressing out about not getting to the point. And I kept having to renew my mind during this snowstorm. I kept having to go back to what I know to be true about the Lord. He's good. He's sovereign. Nothing ever catches him by surprise. Nothing. And so during the times where I felt my anxiety getting high, I just kept going back to the word. So now that we're post-service, we're looking at renewal after this hard season, which I am going to say that the season isn't even over. Truly it's just beginning as I begin to construct this new normal without who I used to lovingly refer to him as the old man. So without the old man, that, my father. And so renewing of my mind. And since I mentioned mental health earlier, let me parenthetically say that there is a difference between feeling sad or feeling depressed and being clinically depressed. I have been sad. I am very sad right now, truth be told, because I miss my daddy, period. However, I am not of the belief that every feeling of sadness or every feeling of depression needs to be treated with medication. That's me. And this is no shade, no shame to anyone who needs medication. I don't want medication to help me process. When my mother passed away in May of 2017, a year later, I'm still struggling and dealing with, feelings of loss. And I decided at that time that I would seek therapy. And I spoke with one person at that time. Now, since then, I have a new therapist, and I love her to death. Haven't seen her yet, but be ready, because I will be making my appointment, ma'am. But anyhow, at that time, I was seeing I made an appointment with someone different. And I had one session with this person, and I'm explaining to him why I'm feeling sad. Like, I have a legitimate reason. My mom died, and I've been struggling this whole year to process. And that one single session by phone, I want to note, he's like, oh, why don't you go to your doctor and have your doctor prescribe some anxiety medication? And I said, no. I said, I don't want to get on any medication. I want to process this. I'm not trying to numb my feelings. I want to feel all of the feelings, as horrible as they might be, and I want to process them and lean on the Lord to help me do that. And so he was so adamant of talking to my doctor and getting on medication, and I said absolutely not. And that was the first and last session I ever had with him. And the Lord has brought a wonderful person in my life, whom I see periodically, maybe even once or twice a year. And for me personally, when I chose my therapist, I wanted someone who was grounded in the Word, because I do know that there are a lot of wonderful mental health tools available, but for me, those tools are temporary if it's not rooted in the foundation of the Word. And so the Word is the way that I heal, the way that I go through mine. And again, I do understand that some people need medication. I'm not above it. I am not above it by any means. I just don't want it, because I want to feel and I want to process. I do not want to numb anything. And for me, the renewing of my mind during moments where I'm feeling sad or depressed, I always go back to the Word. And before I go on, let me parenthetically say that I have been, I believe, clinically depressed before. If you've read the testimony on my website, I share when I was suicidal and just had no hope and all the above. And so I'm a firm believer that God is a healer, because he healed me. He healed my mind. He healed everything about that depression in me, where I can now recognize that feeling sad or depressed is not the same as being sad or depressed. And I process those feelings and I take them all to the Lord. And sometimes through my therapist, who then comes back to me with the word of the Lord, and other people around me, such as my husband or my friends. And that's where I am in my journey. If you are in a journey where you need the Lord to renew your mind, your spirit, whatever it is, after a hard season in life, please don't take what I'm saying as you shouldn't take medication or your faith isn't strong if you're taking medication. None of that. I'm just not a medication person. But I do recognize and understand that some people need that. I guess I make that whole distinction because I feel our society is so quick to medicate everything, instead of taking time to evaluate who should and who should not receive medication. It's let's just write a script. And so that's my soapbox on that for for what it's worth. But I do want to share one final thing before I close, and that is my method of renewal, based on the Word. So I want to bring your attention to Philippians 4 and verse 8, which says, and this is the King James Version, it says, "Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. For me, I had to meditate on all the good things of the Lord. I may have shared previously, I can't remember if I have or not, but I may have shared that we have a God sightings board. And it's just a bulletin board that a dry erase board that I bought. My husband put it up on the wall, and every month we write the month, the year, and then God sightings. So it's January 2026, God sightings. We've been doing this since August of 2015. And this was part of my healing journey, is to write down the goodness of the Lord. So to write things, write the vision and make it plain. So to write beautiful things that God has done. So on days where I might feel a little discouraged or I might feel a little upset about something, I can look at that God sighting and see how good the Lord has been despite everything that I might be going through. And that is part of my renewing my mind. When my father passed and we were going through pictures to put together, for his photo tribute. And I had a picture that I was so happy that I took. I took a picture of the God sightings board where I had been on a trip. I was gone for a weekend and I came back, and he had written on the God sightings board, "Welcome back, we missed you." And that just warmed my heart like you would not believe, and even my dad, because I would write birthdays, on the God sightings board, like happy birthday, such and such. And so even my dad would say, "Hey, you're a little late. You're a little late writing such and such on the God sightings board." Or he would sit and just read it, because where the board is, where the board is, it's across from where he would normally sit in the kitchen. So he would read the God sightings board. And then that God sightings board became a witness. Anytime we had service people in our house for one reason or another, I would always smile when I see them looking up and reading through the God sightings board. And so that is my process one of my processes. That's one of my processes. I keep saying it wrong. And right now I have a lot of brain fog. Processes. That's one of my processes. Yes, I believe processes. That's one of my processes. I did it wrong again. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. That's one of the things that I do to renew my mind. Just remembering to think on those things that are of good report. And so as you begin to find yourself needing to renew your mind, I want to encourage you. You might not do a God sightings board, but what about writing in a praise journal? Something that when life happens, because it will, and it'll happen to us all, and it'll happen, and there's that temptation to be woe is me and just to have a pity party. God is too good, too gracious, and too kind. And so do whatever you need to do to help in your process of renewing your mind so you can always remember. As I wrote in a poem, life circumstances do not change God's character. He's good. He's absolutely good always. So, with that, thank you for joining me these first 5 weeks of the 2026 new year as we focused on the theme of renewal. Next week, we will transition to a new theme of love. Until then, keep connecting with Christ. Thank you. God bless. Thank you for watching. To learn more or to purchase a copy of Connecting with Christ, 52 weekly devotionals to nurture spiritual growth, please click one of the links in the description or visit yoproductions.net. Also note that the views expressed by any interviewed contributor may or may not reflect those of the host or Yo Productions. If this video or any content on this channel has encouraged you, I invite you to subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below. Also, please consider liking this video and sharing it with someone you believe may be blessed by its content. Until we meet again, continue to stay connected with Christ.